Joining us now are Christy Greenberg, MSNBC legal analyst and former federal prosecutor, along with Shelby Talcott, White House reporter for Semaphore. Thank you both for being here. Shelby, what do you make of this back and forth? It's unusual that he would assume the question referred to the 1798 Act and whether or not he had signed it. We've heard the White House's response, and while Donald Trump has made puzzling statements before, this could present a real challenge for him. Given the ongoing legal battles, his words could be used against him in court, further complicating the White House's defense. The coming days will be crucial in determining how this situation unfolds in the judicial system. Christy, what's the significance of whether or not he signed it, and how does the use of an autopen factor in? His explanation doesn't entirely add up. Not only did he claim he hadn't signed it, but he also suggested others had handled it for him. If he was indeed referring to the 1798 proclamation, that seems improbable. I share your skepticism that he was likely talking about his own executive order rather than the historical one. Legally, a president must sign executive orders, but whether it's done personally or via autopen is immaterial as long as there is authorization. The Trump administration previously raised concerns over Biden's use of the autopen to sign pardons, but as long as the signature is valid and authorized, there's no legal issue. The real question remains whether the necessary signature existed in this case. Christy, what could be the consequences if Judge Boasberg determines the White House violated his order from last week? That's a critical question. Judge Boasberg appears to be taking this matter seriously, seeking clarity on whether his order was defied. His directive was explicit: if planes were already in the air en route to El Salvador, they needed to be turned back. That didn't happen, which strongly suggests his order was ignored. If he finds a violation occurred, potential consequences could range from civil to criminal contempt charges. Civil contempt might result in fines, whereas criminal contempt could carry harsher penalties. However, even if officials were found guilty of criminal contempt, Trump could pardon him, limiting the legal ramifications. Ultimately, we'll have to see how Judge Boasberg responds. Shelby, the Trump administration already has over 15 pending appeals on various rulings against its policies. How has the White House signaled it will respond if this decision doesn't go its way? We've heard conflicting statements. The administration insists it will comply with court orders, yet at the same time argues these rulings are unconstitutional. Part of their strategy appears to be overwhelming the system. Trump implemented a vast number of changes quickly, anticipating legal challenges. The goal is to make it difficult for opponents to keep up with the sheer volume of policy shifts. We can expect the administration to fight this on multiple fronts, through social media, court battles, and public messaging on platforms like Truth Social. Trump and Elon Musk, for example, have already called for the impeachment of a judge, demonstrating their intention to challenge unfavorable rulings through every possible channel. Shelby, overnight, President Trump revoked security clearances for 15 officials, including Vice President Kamala Harris and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. How is the White House justifying this move? The White House argues that a similar action was taken against Trump following January 6. They also claim these individuals should not have security clearances. Looking at the list, it's clear that some revocations target Trump's political adversaries, including Antony Blinken, Letitia James, and Alvin Bragg. There's little effort to disguise the fact that this move has a political component. Christy, does this create legal complications for figures like Letitia James and Alvin Bragg, especially if it impacts their work? It's a difficult case to make. The president has broad discretion over security clearances, and courts have historically been reluctant to challenge such decisions. However, in Bragg's case, losing clearance could hinder his ability to handle cases related to national and foreign terrorism, which falls under New York state law. He might have to delegate those matters to deputies, which would be less than ideal and could impact public safety. Shelby, Columbia University has agreed to Trump's conditions to have its $400 million in federal funding reinstated. What are the terms they've accepted? Columbia has committed to several measures, including deploying officers to remove individuals from campus and refining its definition of anti-Semitism. However, the Trump administration has yet to confirm whether it will restore the funding. This move aligns with broader patterns. Other entities, such as the law firm Paul Weiss, have met administration demands in exchange for policy reversals. Christy, what precedent does this set? With Trump targeting educational institutions, does Columbia's compliance embolden him further?
Absolutely.
Columbia's concessions merely allow negotiations to begin. There's no guarantee the funding will be reinstated. This weakens their bargaining position significantly. The same trend is visible elsewhere. Paul Weiss conceded to the administration's demands despite the executive order against them being blatantly unconstitutional. Another judge recently ruled that a similar order against the law firm Perkins Coie violated multiple constitutional amendments. Rather than challenging these orders in court, institutions are prioritizing financial interests, effectively strengthening Trump's leverage. Trump has already instructed officials to review other law firms challenging his administration and consider imposing similar restrictions. The question now is whether more organizations will push back or continue capitulating to these pressures.